Hello, I'm Russ Milheim from the Direct. Thank you both for speaking to me today about Terrifier.
Thank
I,
you.
I'm
loving your display behind you right now.
thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Now, it's an insane movie. And so, David, I just want right off the bat, Art does some heinous stuff in this movie, somehow even worse than the last two or three. Uh, is there any line he won't cross? Would he kill a puppy? Is there anything Art wouldn't do?
Oh gosh, I think he wouldn't really do anything truly sexual in nature. I don't see him being a sexual creature in that way, so I don't think he'd actually rape anybody or anything like that. I just that's just something I think is beneath him in that way. But that's just me.
Well, I mean, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
If there's
yeah.
any silver lining to Art at all.
Yeah.
Now,
I kind of see him as like an asexual creature, so yeah.
Given how gross, and this is for both of you guys, given how gross and brutal these movies can be, has there ever been a moment on set where you just, even as actors, had to take a second to regain composure, or maybe like a scene was too much or nearly so while filming it?
Oh yeah. That happened in part three. It's a infamous bit that happened on set, and they have it all on video. So hopefully they'll be releasing that out on the extended cut or something like that, just so people could see that no, this really happened. I got very nauseous on set one day with something I was doing, and it all related to something that just makes me nauseous in real life. And I feel quite strongly that Damien put that in there intentionally just to really try to get to me, and it worked. It very much worked. I did not throw up though because I was so worried about messing up my makeup that I had been spending hours getting into, and I knew my makeup artist Heather would kill me if something happened to it.
I was so happy I wasn't on set that day because, similar to Dave, I have the same reaction when I see this. I probably would have gotten sick as well. But not, I've been lucky in that my character doesn't see most of the kills. Like I see. I go through stuff and my family goes through stuff, my friends go through stuff, but the actual act of it, I'm out of the room. So I've been pretty fortunate in that light.
Now, I have to ask, feel free if there's any spoiler answers you want to say, we'll make sure to cut them out and separate them so people don't get anything spoiled. What was the thing? What was the thing in the third movie?
It was Aunt Jess. It was her death. It was I can't stand vomit. And they had this vomit that was coming out of the tube, and I was like, and they were using some kind of like, mushroom soup or something like that too. So it just looked horrible and it smelled horrible. And and the sounds, it was just making these gurgling sounds. I was like, I just no, no, nay, 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 nay.
Even walking past the dummy, like I would like you could see like the residue, and I was just like, ugh, like I hated it. So yeah,
Yeah,
And you had to
it's
sit
just
across from
gross.
it for a good while,
oh
I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Rough.
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't the rats coming out of the neck. It was just the vomit. It was just that idea of the vomit. I was just like, that's just gross.
the one thing that gets Art the Clown, vomit.
Yep.
It'll do it. What was one thing that you both were excited to do in Terrifier 3 that you hadn't done previously in the series?
Oh boy. I was excited just about the Christmas setting in general. I thought that was just going to put him in a whole different new situation, and yeah, I just thought it added so many fun possibilities. But I also liked having a big crowd scene where Art is actually interacting with the public in a much bigger capacity than he has done in the past, and so I had so much fun doing those type of scenes.
I agree. The Christmas setting made it so much more interesting and beautiful to watch and be a part of. But I think I was most excited to approach Sienna's mental state. That's a place she hasn't gone to yet, and I'm excited to see what people think about that. And I was most excited to film the finale, to do the fight between Sienna and Art. It's not new to the franchise and that they've had fights in the past, but I think this one's even more epic. So
Yeah,
it's fresher and bigger and newer.
yeah.
Obviously, a film like Terrifier is going to it requires you as actors to get into some pretty dark places. What are your secrets to getting out of that place when the day comes to an end and you have to re-enter real life?
it's easy for me. I'm just always joking around and stuff like that. So I pretty much do that in just in between takes. So I was like, but I mean, I guess for me, it's not as hard because I kind of, in Art's mental state, he kind of views all that as fun. And so I don't see it as being dark and morbid in that way because I'm kind of seeing things through Art's eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I try to turn it off after cut as quickly as I possibly can because I think if I were to stay with it for longer, it might just like seep into my psyche and stay there. But I think when I get home or to back to my room, I might take some breaths. I might try to watch something happy, maybe some South Park or something. And I'm usually good after that.
David, I have to ask about that shower scene. I feel like that one's gonna go down in horror history. Can you talk about filming that crazy sequence?
Oh, that took a while. That took like 4 or 5 days to film all of that. There were so many moving parts, there was so many, prosthetics that we were having to deal with. I mean, I had fun. I know it probably wasn't as fun for my fellow actors in that, especially having to deal with water the whole entire time. And we're filming it in winter as well. So, they were so cold. And, especially Alexa that plays Mia, I mean, it's like, she's really having to go to a very, very vulnerable state in that scene. And so, we tried our best just, to cater to her needs and make sure she was as comfortable as possible, especially myself. I was constantly just checking in with her, making sure she was okay. And, but it was still a lot of fun though. I thought it was a really cool scene to see happen. It just like, I think it's probably personally one of my favorite shower scenes since Psycho. So
I mean, I think it's gonna land in the same conversations.
Mhm.
Uh, so a Terrifier 4 has been confirmed to be in the works. One of the joys of long-running horror franchises is how they could continually reinvent themselves. So for both of you, in future movies, what do you guys want to see, the how do you want to see the franchise evolve both on a macro level, but also for your characters? What do you want some of these next steps for them to be?
A really big question. I definitely don't want the story between Sienna and Art to go on forever. I think it needs to come to a climax, and it probably will soon. And I just personally, for Sienna, I want to see the journey that she continues to go to. I want to see what kind of obstacles she needs to overcome. And I want to see, hopefully, her reconnecting with her little cousin more than anything. I think that she cares more about saving others than herself. So we'll see how that dynamic plays out.
I would really like to see like just explore more of Art's human side in going forward because I've never wanted him to be a very one-note character. I want to be able to show that he actually has emotions as well, as opposed to just being sadistic killer. And I think this is going to lend itself to that because he's left in such a vulnerable state at the end of the last film. He's no longer has his power, so for once he's scared. And I like that idea of because I think that's going to actually make Art more dangerous in a lot of ways because a scared and cornered animal becomes more dangerous. And so he's going to probably take more extreme measures to preserve himself. And also he's going to have an agenda. He's going to want to get his powers back somehow. And I imagine he's going to do some horrible, horrible things. And in a way, I would like to see, because I've always kind of in with villains and heroes, I've always liked those stories where sometimes the hero and the villain have to make an uncomfortable alliance, like a temporary alliance. And I would like to see something where the two of them actually have to kind of reluctantly team up because I feel like they might have some goals that are aligned in some ways. And I think that would be a fun dynamic to possibly explore. But of course, that would be a very tenuous alliance,
I wouldn't trust Art the Clown,
Yeah.
but
No. But like I said, I have no idea what Damien has in store, though. That man, I trust him with whatever he's doing. It's like I have my ideas, but he's the one that has the final say in everything. And I am quite sure he's going to take these characters some very interesting places.
I hope one day you get to space. I feel like that's like you once your franchise goes long enough, you gotta get your killer up to space.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Even if we do a nod to it, like maybe you think he's in space, but he's just at space camp or something like that. It's like, oh, psych, got ya.
Now, a fun question for you both. If you could pit Art the Clown against any horror icon, who would you want to see him go against?
I'm sure
Ooh.
Dave has his own like thoughts, but I actually just answered this question in another interview. I would really love to see him against like one of the more charismatic ones like Freddy or Chucky. But I also just watched Black Christmas, and I think Billy, the slasher in that, is even though you don't see him in the first one, and I haven't seen anything beyond that, he has such a great like voice to him. So I'd be curious, even if they don't interact directly, to see how that would play out. But there are so many possibilities because Art is so charismatic, and he also has the qualities of the silent stalker. So he would look well with any of them, honestly.
I agree too. And Freddy would, of course, be an interesting one. I think that's like the obvious one to lot with Freddy or Pennywise. But I think also the villain route, I think it'd also be fun to see him go up against a lesser known horror clown would be Papa Corn from the Circus of the Dead films. Because he's a pretty sadistic character as well. But other than that, like I would like to see him go up against some of those heroes too, and of course, Ash would be an amazing one because he's used to dealing with being sort of kind of like Art, and because he's a little bit crazy himself, so that would be fun. Also, there's a hero that I never hear anybody talk about, and I love this character so much, and I thought he was as soon as I saw, it's like, oh, that would be a fun one for him to go up against. It would be Nicolas Cage's character, the janitor from Willy's Wonderland, because he's also a silent character. So I think that
Yes.
they could just have a whole silent movie between the two of them, and I think that would be hilarious.
That would be quite the watch. I mean,
Mhm.
I would be all in. I'd be all in. Well, thank you guys both again for talking with me. I look forward to three coming out, and for the next however many more we got in us.
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.